take a look at these plays we've got for you this week. Going to be going into 6 of these. Like I said, more or less on some of these. Let's just get right into things here, Nate. Talk about this Eagles squad here as you're bringing up Jalen Hurts and more on the pass yards.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that Hurts is probably the most expensive guy you could play on DraftKings DFS this week, and his pass yards is that low, to say more than like 200, basically. I mean, the implication is that he has all this rushing upside, and I don't hate the rushing 28.5 yards. But if you're implying that he's going to score a rushing touchdown, like I don't remember the last time they've actually rushed for a tush push touchdown, right? It just hasn't happened. But more of this is about the yardage, and I think Saquon's going to be struggling here. That Cowboys front seven is much improved with Quinnen Williams, Logan Wilson added. They were already much better against the run than they were against the pass. And the Eagles just lost Lane Johnson, which is a big deal. But you also could see the Cowboys, like other teams have, just stack the box and be like, this Eagles passing game is not scaring us. Like, go ahead, we dare you. And 4 teams in a row dared Hurts to pass, including the Giants twice. So it's a similar situation because it is a division game. And they said, we have to stop Saquon. And he averaged 267 in those on a 126 rating and a 71% completion rate. He actually leads the NFL in completion rate. I can't believe he leads the NFL in touchdown to interception rate. When you have the eye test here and you're just like, man, this pass game sucks. Like I can't. But Hurts is delivering the ball where it needs to be. And number one completion rate when pressured, I think I meant to say, which is important because Dallas has a very high pressure rate. They're probably going to blitz him and have him throw. So I think that's where he's going to get the rushing yardage. But the passing yards against Dallas, 70% of opponents' yardage has come via the air, including 79% of in terms of the pass rate last week on Monday Night Football when they came out of the bye with that better run defense. So the Eagles' run game is just as bad as the Raiders, in my opinion. Like at this point, like we're not going that crazy. But yeah, they're going to struggle to run the ball, I think.
Yeah, that's the key. And I mean, it's two things working against you for the run game for the Eagles. Like Dallas is going to be throwing that thing, as we know. And then also they're just much worse against the pass still. So it makes sense entirely that's what the script will be calling for in this one. But let's look at this Detroit squad here. The aforementioned Giants as well, trying to stop the run and the receive here though for Gibbs. So let's go more on the 0.8 multiplier. Nice little safe add to your set here, your pick set. This one is even probably better than Bijan last week. He soared over that, right? The 100 rush and receive. That was 0.7 last week. You're getting 0.8, a little bit of a boost there. And if you look at what's happened since Campbell has been the guy calling the plays for this team and Morton's been out, 176 yards per game, 19 and a half opportunities there. So he's getting a ton of the share, whether it's the rush or the receive, the targets, what have you, the snaps as well. And I think this was the year that we kind of all started to go, this is like the Gibbs is kind of similar to Bijan in that sense too, to bring him back up, where it's like, all right, Allgeier's been around. Monty's still obviously much better than Allgeier. He's still going to be around, but he had 73% of the snaps last week, and that's his highest ever when Monty's been available as well. So the tide is continuing to just sort of turn towards more of a dominant backfield split for Gibbs. And if you looked at the previous 4 with Morton out there, 3 fewer opportunities per game, 99.5 yards per game in rush and receive there on both. So it just was a little bit of a downturn for Gibbs, and that some seems to be pretty heavily correlated to the turnaround here. Morton's firing being justified by Campbell using Gibbs a ton more. And this Giants defense is nothing to be too impressed by when you talk about the rush receive. 3 of the last here we've recently given up to, I say the Giants have recently given up to 98 rush receive to Swift, 173 to Christian McCaffrey, and a $174 to the aforementioned Saquon Barkley as well. So yeah, this is a big opportunity for this guy.
Just want to clarify, Morton was not fired, but demoted. He was not given the play call. Dan Campbell took the play calling duties away from him. So if you're an OC and you're not calling the plays, what exactly would you say you do here?
We're splitting hairs here. You lost your job, man. You may still work at the shed, Rube, but you lost your job.
But yeah, I think the key here is the Giants are kind of similar to the Buccaneers in terms of they have elite defensive tackle play. You have to get around the edge against them, which is why we've seen all those quick backs do that recently, and why we saw Gibbs go absolutely nuts against the Bucs a few weeks ago, right? I mean, for 200 plus scrimmage yards. So I think, yeah, this is a very good anchor leg. You're only going up to 109 at the moment in terms of if you want to take more on that and get the full 1 times multiplier. But it's hard to parse between the rush and receiving just because he can pop explosive plays either way. And we just want to hedge against that. I know this man is just going to be getting the rock in a traditional sense. I cannot quit Quinchon every time, and usually I'm just going with the rush attempts, and this is a lot lower than it was, I think, the last time we went with it because we were expecting messy weather 2 weeks ago. But this time I'm just expecting a very conservative game plan because you have Shador Sanders under center. He is a sack machine, absolutely sack prone throughout his college career. Doesn't know what the hell he's doing in the NFL. I mean, maybe a little bit better with a full week of practice, but man, that was ugly. He basically gave the game back to the Ravens. And now you have Max Crosby screaming off the edge against him. So what do you think you're doing if you're the Browns coaching staff? Run, punt. Honestly, if they had just gone 3-and-out and punted to the Ravens, they probably would have won that game, right? Because their defense is that good. It's going to be a little worse on the road, but this Vegas offense, 30th in DVOA, they're going to be in trouble against Myles Garrett and company. And because of the time of possession battle to some degree, and because Vegas just kind of takes away the deep play, the Pete Carroll strategy for a long time, they've allowed 18 carries to 3 straight lead backs. And if you just take all the backs, not just the lead back, 28 and a half carries in their last 4. And so that's key because the Browns have no other back. They just give Judkins every carry. He has 39 of the last 44 attempts since the bye. And so while he lacks efficiency, volume is king here. You don't even need to get to the yardage. You just need him to tote the rock 19 times.
Yeah, that adds up entirely. I mean, it's definitely the opponent for it at this point as well. So I'm here for Quinchon to still get his 20 that he should be getting. We keep talking about it, and yeah, you get a little bit of a depressed number here. You're going to want to take the more on that. So let's take a second, Nate, to let everyone know our partners at DraftKings Pick6 have a deal that you don't want to miss. New DraftKings customers specifically, this one's for you. When you play $5 or more on your first paid Pick6 entry, you'll get $50 in Pick6 credits. That's right, play $5, get 50 in Pick6 credits to lock in your picks and take your shot at big wins. Just use our link to sign up and start playing. If you've been thinking about trying Pick6, now is the time to get in. Just use the link in the bio to sign up, and all new DraftKings customers can play $5 and get $50 in Pick6 credits. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. In Connecticut, must be 18 plus age, and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends December 2nd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Looking at Ashton Jeanty, Raiders back here, and going with receiving yards. More on that, 17.5. Beatable number for him in a game you imagine that the Raiders don't have much success on the ground. That is the identity of the Browns, as we know. And last week was bad. We both spoke about briefly about going less than on Ashton Jeanty on the rush yards last week. That was up at like 63.5. That came to fruition beautifully. 6 rushes, 7 yards versus Dallas. And yeah, Browns still number 1 in that rush defensive EPA. They're allowing 6.6 yards per reception, though, to running backs because how else are you going to get your yards from the guy standing behind the quarterback? And since the bye, Genty's been averaging 4.6 receptions on 6 targets for 25.7 yards per game. So that does get you the more that you're looking for there, especially on those receptions, man. Like that's a good amount of targets that you can depend on, those nice safe targets for the running back turning into the turning into receptions, obviously. So yeah, the Browns D not the same on the road either. We should just make that clear. And it does seem like this is a game where the Browns O could also be a disaster with Shador back there. We'll see what it's going to be like, but you expect that the Raiders do have time of possession on their side. Will be able to sort of hold on to the rock, keep drives going a lot better than they were last week. Surprising they weren't even able to keep it going at all last week, but we'll see what Chino has in store this week.
Yeah, you're in the mud with this game for sure. So yeah, we expect both running backs to be getting a lot of touches. Yeah, here's where you'd find the rushing attempts for Quinchon all the way over here at Pick6. Rush attempts, you get that in there, and then you go all the way back and over to Quinchon for his receiving yards. But yeah, I agree because they know they have to get this kid the ball. They spent so much draft capital on him, and they know that their run blocking is horrendous. So they've just been dumping it off to him and trying to get him in space, let him show the talent that justified the draft pick, right? And that's why he's been fed so many targets as they've adjusted since the bye. And like Judkins, there's not really another guy coming in there. Like Raheem Mostert is not a part of the future for the Raiders. So they just want to give Jeanty as much work as they can. Sam Darnold. He just barely got more than the 252 last week. Otherwise, would have had a sweep there on the pick set on this particular program. But either way, I mean, he had a disastrous game. So this is a bounce back. This is at Tennessee, and we're just taking 2 touchdowns. It's a get right spot. The Tennessee offense is going to get absolutely dominated by Seattle's defense. They have no weapons whatsoever. So it's a little scary to think about more on the yardage because Darnold might not be passing in the second half. He still can put them up with a couple touchdowns. And that's been the situation. He has 7 tutties in the games they've won by 15 plus, is averaging 13 and a half yards per reception in those with a 142 rating. On the road, we know how good Mike McDonald's squad is. He had multiple touchdowns in 3 of 4 road games prior to that Rams debacle, where he had 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And 69% of the Seahawks touchdowns on the road have come by the pass, which is really the crux of this argument here, is that the Titans are actually going to be good on run defense. They got both of their good run defenders back, Devondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons, who are just elite defensive tackles. That's what they built their defense around. And they forced Houston to pass it a ton, even though Houston would much rather not with Davis Mills. They had 76% of their yards via the pass. Seattle is more than happy to have Darnold drop back and sling that thing deep. I mean, JSN has the best individual matchup of the week if you look at it against Darrell Baker. So more on his 95 and a half yards. I'm not going to dispute that. But I would rather just take Darnold to get that thing in the end zone a couple times rather than worry about the Seahawks rushing it in, because I think the Titans are pretty stout up front.
Yeah, that's fair. We keep targeting Darnold. I think we're doing pretty well, knowing when to sort of go with the yards, go against the yards. But the pass tutties here seems pretty fair for him as well. I mean, man, yeah, he's got some targets to hit, especially that year that Jason's having. But let's close things with Greg Dortch. More than 25 and a half receiving yards. Anybody? Nice low number for a guy that's going to be playing with Jacoby Brissett once again. And the Cardinals with Brissett lead the NFL in passing rate over expectation. I do not make that up. Go ahead and look it up. I did because I didn't necessarily trust it right away, but he set the NFL record for completions in a game. My guy was gunning. And for the Jacoby Brissett relievers out there, man, guys like who were begging for him to play and stay on the Pats years ago, like you're coming to fruition. But Dortch is a guy that's just going to keep running those nice crossing routes for him. I believe it's 6 for 66 in support of Michael Wilson's 15 for $185 in the same game that McBride went for 10 for $115. Right, so nice little supporting role there for 6 receptions for 66 yards. I think most fantasy owners would love to have that in their flex position. He jumped to 70% of the routes and 66% of the snaps once you have MHJ still recovering there, and Zay Jones now done for the season. Is MHJ supposed to be back, by the way? Fantasy owners want to know if we think that from the
this week.
surgery.
No, he needs a couple weeks after the appendicitis. Yeah.
Appendicitis surgery. Yeah, that's my biggest fear. But and he's just such a high percentage target. Like we talk, running those crossing routes in the slot, running those slants from the slot, caught all 6 of the targets that he had. But 6 targets, man. I mean, if you dumb that down to maybe 5 or even 4, I still like him to be able to get that at about like 12 and a half yards per reception there. And the Jags here still, we know what kind of rush D they are and what kind of pass funnel they are as well. 7th in DVOA versus the rush. You're going to be looking for that. You're going to be looking to get away from the pressure pretty quickly. Jacoby knows what he's about. In Jacoby we trust, and Greg Dortch is a nice, easy target for a low yardage play.
Yeah, the Cardinals are not running the ball, even if Trey Benson maybe comes back, right?
Maybe,
I mean, their offensive line is hit with so many injuries. Their defense has been hit by so many injuries. It's at home, though. It's just welcome to the carnival, right? The Cardinals are your latest fun ride in terms of if you want to find some more plays. This is the first place you look, and Jaguars are a little bit more vulnerable in the slot than they are on the boundary. So I like Dortch benefiting from that matchup, while Michael Wilson draws a little more attention after that monster line.
You have to think so. So that is all the time we have for you in this one, though. Definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel. Coming back to you each and every week here in the NFL season with these plays on using DraftKings Pick6. So until we see you next, best of luck.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends December 2nd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.